ladies and gentlemen, please go wild, go crazy, and give a big Las Vegas welcome to Team Principal James Vowles. How are we all doing? We're doing pretty well. James, welcome to our fan zone here. It's pretty cool, right?
This is fantastic. We do a number of these all over the world. I know I've met a few of you already that have been to a couple of them. This is spectacular though, to be right here in the city centre, open top as well. It is fantastic to see this many people all turn up. Thank you so much for taking the time out to come here.
Let's hear it for you guys. It really means a lot to us to do these kind of activations and reach out to fans. This is our 6th one this year. We've been to 4 continents. That's a key part of what we do at Williams, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what perhaps isn't really clear to this is I had the benefit of working for a number of other teams. This is the only team doing it. And we don't do this for any other reason than we actually want to meet and understand who our fan base are and let them know who we are at the same time. So we will, in a second, have an open Q&A, and it's a real Q&A. Every question you ask, I'll answer. Simple as that. And it's an opportunity to interact with those that actually are the reason why we are doing this. The reason why we go around the track and do various elements of things is that we're racers. We believe in the sport of things, and our fan base is what supports us in that process.
Excellent stuff. Now we are here in Las Vegas for the first time racing on a street circuit that is completely unknown. I'm going to split this question in 2. First of all, the place, the city. What have you made of it all? Are you more are you keen on the, should we call them, embellishments that F1 have put on here, or are you more focused on the racing?
I'm more that I grew up racing. That's what I'm about fundamentally. So I can't wait until we start turning the wheels a little bit later on this evening, going into the night. The embellishments they're different. That's all I'm going to put them at the moment. It's not down to me to judge that though. It's down to the world to basically determine if they're helpful, if they're not. It's different, is how I put it. What I'm more enjoying is the fact that every time you go to a city centre, so you go here, you go to Miami, you go to Austin, you go to Montreal, Melbourne, the whole city stops for you, and that's what I actually enjoy more. It's about the fact that you're not there as a distraction, you're there as a part of the reason why the city is enjoying your company. And that's what's happened so far in Vegas. I've been stopped probably 100, 200 times. I've just been running up and down the strip. And we have real people that are really, really enjoying the fact that we're here. And that, to me, means the world. So I think at least we're doing things in the right way so far.
Absolutely. It's great to see the sport growing as much as it is. On to the racing then. This is obviously an unknown circuit. What do you make of it? How much can we glean before we set rubber to track this evening?
So before we've even turned a wheel today, we've tried to replicate the circuit as best as possible in our simulator. And there's 2 types of simulator. There's one that's called a driver in loop simulator, and there's one that's a simulation that's taking place in basically a high performance cluster. Difference between the 2 is the high performance cluster one would have done 2 million laps before we've come here. The driver in loop one, Alex was in there, Logan was in there. They've probably only done 50, 60 laps each, which is a race distance. Doesn't sound like a lot, but once you've spread that out over all the other work, it takes quite a bit of time to get there. Those maps are based off some GPS that we have, some LiDAR, which is basically laser scanning of what's going on the track surface, but it's not entirely accurate, especially here. If you walk around the track, you'll see the barriers are actually movable, so the definition of where they are will change day on day. The track itself has cars on it right now, and that's pretty unique. Singapore, I think people perhaps don't realise, that's a completely closed circuit. There is no traffic going around it. This is the only environment I can think of, apart from Monaco, which is very unique as well, where your track is changing as a result of people driving on it day to day. So the challenge for us is we don't know what the grip of the circuit is, we don't actually know what the complete layout is going to be until we start going around in anger a little bit later on. That presents unknown, but it also presents opportunity. The second bit is, for all those that perhaps didn't know, it rained last night, and this is going to be awfully tricky if it's a little bit damp. So there's still rain around Saturday. Let's see what happens across the weekend.
Plenty of unknowns for sure. But on paper though, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but should we be pretty optimistic as Williams fans this week?
There's some bits that suit us, and there's some bits that don't suit us. So let's start with the positives first of all. The wing level, the downforce level that we'll be running here is more like Spa. A track where we were quite quick until we suffered a problem. Monza again, we were quite quick. So what we call the efficiency, and what we mean by efficiency is the trade-off between drag, the force that slows us down, and downforce, the force that pushes us into the ground, is one that actually you want to take as much downforce as you can off here. Our car thrives in that environment. Every time we've taken downforce off the car, our rivals fear us. Simple as that. So that's a good starting point for us. The second bit is, it's actually pretty cold. It's not now, this is actually quite nice. But this evening I'll have several jackets on. It's cold. We, for example, take Austin, track temperature there. Apologies for this, I don't know how to convert to Fahrenheit, but I'll do it in Celsius. About 52 to 55 degrees Celsius. Austin, again, we're up to 55 to 58 degrees Celsius. So normally, the higher end of where we're running is up to about 60, which is, you can cook an egg on it, type warm. We're going to be down at 12 degrees, maybe 13 degrees here. A temperature that we haven't run on all year. You simply don't. In fact, in the old days, perhaps in winter testing, we'd just about get there. And the tyres really do struggle in that environment. Further to that, the efficiency I was talking about, the fact that our car will work well, the reason why that's the case is there is a lot of straights, but you don't put any energy in the straights. You actually need corners to actually heat up the tyres. So are we going to get the tyres working? And when they're working, are they going to work properly? And those are the questions that no one in the paddock can tell you at the moment, but we'll find out in a few hours.
We certainly will. One more from me then. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. We're approaching the end of the season, obviously. What have you made of it as a whole?
I think first and foremost, it's been a topsy-turvy year. We started at the back. It was quite nice scoring a point in our first race, but being more realistic, we were towards the back of the grid then. We made good improvements throughout this year, and with the updates we've been putting on, we've been starting to fight for points every single race from the August break onwards. That's a big change for Williams. That's an environment that hasn't been known to this team for many, many years, and it's a really good feeling as a result of it. Of late, though, we've put a lot of effort into 24 and 25, and what that means is we are falling back. It was a conscious decision. We knew this would happen. And you've got teams like McLaren that have just bolstered to the front, teams like AlphaTauri, who are our main rival in the championship, and it is just a matter of points between the two of us with 2 races to go. Really hard to predict what's going to happen. What I can tell you is this: we wake up in the morning to fight them in order to finish 7th. Simple as that. It doesn't matter we've put everything into 24. That's happening back at the factory. The drivers and the engineers and the mechanics here trackside, everyone here trackside, are just basically waking up in the morning determining how do we get points out of Vegas, how do we beat AlphaTauri to set us up for a season finale in Abu Dhabi where we have an opportunity to finish 7th. And that's what our season's about, really. It's turned into this real fight down to milliseconds with a real rival. In fact, it was many rivals. It's just ended up being one now.
Excellent stuff. Well, we'll all be here supporting the team. Right, I'm going to throw it open to the floor. Has anybody got a question for James? I'm going to jump down here quickly.
With there only being 2 races left in the season, and this is your first season with Williams, what's been your favorite moment so far?
It's a tough one because there's a whole bunch. Silverstone, for example, was just, when we unveiled the livery, which had a nod back to Frank, and for me it was an opportunity to say to everyone in the world that his efforts are the reason why I'm here today and the reason why we want to go back towards the front. Not just that, but scoring some big points in Silverstone to change our championship, that meant a lot to me as well. Watching Alex really mature during the year, if you compare it to the beginning of the year to the driver we have today, has been another real high point for me. What you're seeing now is he's on fire, not literally, I hope, but he's in a good space, and it is an absolute pleasure to work alongside him, and he and I are just growing together throughout this relationship. I think the real thing for me though is this: in a space of 12 months, give or take, we've gone from a team that wasn't really fighting for points to a team that's fighting for points most race weekends. But this is the start of the journey. What I'm really excited by, which you'll see in time, is what's happening behind the scenes that will have an impact on next year, the year after, and 26. That's when we really start moving forward.
Absolutely, all eyes on the future. One over here.
Question for you. Since you were talking about running the car in a low downforce configuration, probably going to start on softs, what can we do to maximize our mechanical grip in the corners to get up in the top 10?
Good question. So, taking that back a little step, there's obviously 2 ways that we can make a car balanced. One is through aerodynamic balance and aerodynamic grip. So, long story short, these cars now are generating something close to 3,000 kilos of downforce. Or put another way, a big SUV is basically pushing that car down on the straights. That's how much downforce we're now generating. We've taken that off and we're now at about 2,000 kilos. So a normal sedan road car, basically, of downforce. But we've lost about 20 kilometers an hour speed as the straight line is the difference. And your question is, how do we control that with mechanical grip? Long story short, this track, what you're trying to do is keep the car as low as physically possible. And I think we can. It's not very bumpy out there, surprisingly really well tarmacked, even though it's actually just a road, fundamentally. So what we'll be doing is you'll see the cars will be sparking like mad, because we're trying to get the front of the car and the rear of the car literally decked into the road. And what that means is the COG is low. It means that the balance, the sort of migration of balance as you go into the slow speed corners is actually much more minimized as a result of things. So that's how we can tune that one. Just one other thing as well, not giving too much away, but we'll start a little bit higher downforce in the first few sessions and then take the downforce off, because it's awfully tricky out there. And it just gives the drivers just a little bit more comfort before we take it away.
Makes sense. Any more questions? Yes,
hey, yeah. I noticed at the beginning of the year there was a quote regarding the facilities and being partly behind the times. What's the biggest upgrade that's affected the team's performance this year? And then going into next year, what upgrade are you most excited about?
So the facilities are still behind, but the good news is we've managed to secure, it was out to the public, but we've got about 20 million of what's called CapEx within a cost cap that we couldn't spend money in before. It sounds like an awful lot of money, honestly, in our world. We spent that within about 6 seconds. I had people clambering all over the 20 million, so that's gone. The facilities are still behind the time, only because a lot of them take 12, 24, and 36 months to really change. So a simulator, for example, takes about 2 years to actually build and put in place. New composites facilities takes about 24 months to 36 months to put into place. So this won't appear overnight. The big changes that we really did this year was the following. We had an organization that was filled with intelligent people, but they weren't necessarily all pointing the right way. When I first had the opportunity of coming inside and speaking to everyone, what became abundantly clear is that we weren't aligned in what we wanted to do, or even our vision of where we were going. And the big change is really just bringing together groups of individuals and making them responsible for performance, or aerodynamic development, or mechanical development, or weight. And as a result of that, suddenly the ideas have started flowing. The second thing is that I really truly believe that you reward failure. What does that sound? I mean, I don't mean someone's failed on purpose. I mean someone's pushing the boundaries of what we can do within engineering, and they fail as a result. Reward them, as long as you learn from that whole sequence, and you teach others of, I pushed it this far, this didn't work out. And that's a big cultural change that's already started. And the update that we had on in Montreal and Silverstone was really our aerodynamic team pulling together, working together in a slightly different way than we ever had before, and producing performance coming out of it, because it was holistic to the car. It wasn't just aerodynamic, it was a rear suspension change as well, so mechanical grip to the previous question, and it was a philosophy change. And what I like about that is it's not an isolated part of the company anymore, it was the whole company together working to produce the update. And the future is much the same.
Great stuff. One more question. I'll come to you, sir.
Thank you. Fantastic job this year so far. You guys did much more than we expected, so congrats for that. Second half of the season, you mentioned you had some expectations for Logan. With 2 races left in the season, can you give us any update on how our favorite American driver is doing?
He's doing, everything he's doing right now is what we're asking him to do. It's the best way of putting it to you. So what we asked him to do is keep consistency up, close the gap down to Alex, no mistakes. Just keep basically you building your experience up, because every kilometer you're doing, every mile you're doing, is building your knowledge base of what's going on. And he's been doing that. The last 2 races, Alex wasn't there in Brazil. It would be interesting to see where they finished, but he finished a few seconds off the points. The race before that, 7 seconds off Alex. No mistakes, just bringing it up throughout the race. We have to work. He said it himself publicly. He has to work on his qualifying performance now. That's fallen back relative to things. But when we have an opportunity to score points, and I think we do this weekend, he has to be right there taking every opportunity that comes his way.
Yeah, we'll all be supporting Logan from wherever we are. I'm going to let James go momentarily. He's going to jump down, sign a few things, take a few photos, but I do want to make a couple of shout outs. If you didn't get a chance to ask James a question, he is doing a live season recap from Grove at the post the season's conclusion in Abu Dhabi. You can RSVP to that at williamsf1.com/Vowles-recap. And one other thing I just wanted to shout out, a good competition we're running. Alex Albon shoes. You a pair?
I actually do have a pair, yeah. I haven't worn them, but
I'm told they are very, very hard to come by. Alex has signed a pair, and we are giving those away. Just head to williamsf1.com/Alex-shoes. In the meantime, I will just point out that we are, as I said at the top, open all week long, right up until lights out on Saturday evening. And Jensen Button will be in the house tomorrow afternoon, so definitely come down to that if you are in Vegas this weekend. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for James Vowles.